Alright, YouTube, let's color grade some shit, shall we? Alright, so what we're going to be doing is taking this and turning it into this. So this is the raw footage directly off of the Canon 5D Mark III. What I did is we've added the letterbox, we added some blue to the dark areas, a little orange tint to the highlights. Obviously we added some contrast and fixed up the colors a little bit, made our eyes pop just a little bit, and we sharpened it. As you guys know, if you use DSLRs, the footage comes out a little soft, so we did a little bit of a unsharp mask to bring out those edges. So let's get to it and see how we would make this happen. Hopefully I can duplicate it. Alright, first things first, when you color grading, you want to make sure that you are always using your better quality format and your optimized or original media. You don't want to grade in a proxy because that's already degraded, and you don't want to grade in better performance because it makes your viewer kind of downgrades your viewer, so your clips can play faster and better while you are editing. But since we're going to be working on these shots, we want to use our highest quality footage. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and start from scratch. First thing we need to do is color balance and color correct the original media. So we are going to be using our video scopes. You can go and get your scopes from here, and you can do show video scopes, or as I'm always pushing for, be a Final Cut Ninja and go ahead and use your shortcut Command 7. Now what I like to do is I like to start off in the Luma and get my levels correct as far as highlights and darks, and the best way for me is to go and decrease the saturation. So now I am only looking at my lights and my darks. I'm not distracted by any other colors. Go over to the exposure and I'm going to set my black point. It should be about right there. You want to set your black to where it's pretty much on the 0 line here. And then I want to set my highlights. So I'll move my highlights up a bit. And I'll move up my midpoint. About there. Looks good. Get a little bit more on my highlights there. And come down on my blacks. Alright, so that looks good to me. I'll go back to my saturation and reset that. Now you can always see the before and after by clicking this blue button here. So before, after, before, after. It already looks a little bit better. You can see a little bit more contrast in the image and all that goodness. Next thing we're going to do is color balance. So for this we're going to use our RGB parade, and we're still working in the waveform. Now I do have a little bit of crushing in my blacks here, but I am actually okay with that. It's just a couple parts. I'm good with that. And I notice that I have a highlight that's pretty bright over here, but I am okay with that as well for right now. We'll get to fixing that later. So what we want to do in order to color balance, we want to kind of bring these at an even level. So what we'll do is we'll go to our color board, and I'm looking here and it looks like I could use a little more blue in the midtones, and I kind of want to line these guys up so it's pretty red here. So what I'll do is I'll take my midtone puck here, move it over here, and start to pull away from that red until I get something pretty even. That looks pretty good. We could do a before and after to check it out. Alright, we're getting there. We remove some of that red color cast. Now, another cool tip is if I have a shortcut set up it's G, and that turns my color board off and on. You can actually go to Final Cut Pro, Commands, and you could do Customize, and basically you can set up your own key commands. As you see, I have Champs keys here, and I just export that and send it over to my laptop so I can be the same on each. Back to the grade. Alright, so we kind of have this balanced out in the midtones a bit. I can see here that the darks are doing pretty good. Looks like it could use a little nudge. There, that looks good to me. And highlights looks like they are doing fine as well. Now, the next thing that I do is I go and check my skin tones. Now, I know Harley has her face all covered up, but I still want to make sure that her skin is okay because some of her skin does peek out here. It's just her face that's covered up. So what I'm going to do is I am going to go into my crop setting here, and I am going to set it to trim. And I'm just going to find a nice piece of skin. Get some skin. Nice piece of skin there. I'll hit done. Command 7 to open up my video scopes again. So what you want to do is go into your settings and you want to look at your vector scope. Now looking at your vector scope here, this is our skin tone. We want to make sure that this skin tone is on this skin tone indicator line. So every skin tone known to man will fall in this line somewhere. Whether you're white, black, Asian, Indian, whatever, your skin tone will fall somewhere in this line. So what we do is I'll take the mid-tone puck, because your skin tones are a mid-tone, and we'll move it and try and get it right on that line. Just a little push and pull here, about right there. Looks good. And sometimes your skin tone will be kind of small. You can just increase the scale of it like that. Makes it a little bit easier to see. Once you have that set, your skin tone is all set. Just want to jump back and reset the crop. Boom. And let's give a look at our before and after again. Before, after, before, after. Now at this point, you can increase the color saturation if that's what you like. You can give it a little bit of saturation there. But I don't want to do that yet because I want to do that as part of my grade. Now, if you ever want to reset any one of these pucks, you can just click the puck and click delete, and it'll go reset. Take the puck, delete, and it resets. Or if you want to reset all, you have this option, this arrow over in the corner here. Now that we have the image color corrected, it's looking pretty good, we can go into grading. And now grading is just adding some style to it. How do you want it to look? How do you want to convey the emotion? Whatever you're going for, that's what we're going to do right now. So what we'll do is we'll add a new color correction. Go into there. Now, at this point, you can go ahead and kind of break the rules and be a little stylistic with it. So what I like to do is I like to keep up my waveform so I could just take a look at and see what's going on here. And now what we're going to do is we're going to start getting a little funky with our styling. So first thing I'm going to do in this correction number 2 is I want to crush my blacks a little bit more. I want to add a little contrast. So I'm going to bring that down. I'll go up on the highlights just a bit. Also, I'm going to go up on the midtones a bit. Color grading is all about just give a little, take a little, give a little, take a little. So you can use your mouse to move these around. But what I like to do is when I'm getting into some fine detailing and fine tuning, I will use my arrow keys, up and down arrow keys. 1% here, 1% there. And that gives you some fine tuning control over your push and pull here. So I think that looks pretty good to me. Next thing I want to do is, we had that blue orange kind of contrast thing going on, so I want to do a little bit of that. I'm going to go back into color correction too. We're going to jump into the color board, and I'm going to take my blue and I'm going to move it up. Now notice that I'm messing up my skin tones, so I want to pull away from that color a little bit with the mid-tone puck. Give a little bit more to the darks here. Pull away with the mid-tone puck. Looks good to me. Then I'm going to take my highlights and I'm going to move that into the orange. Till about right there. Give a little bit more to my blue. Oh, a little bit more to my blue. And just a little bit more to my orange. I'm going to come down on the mid-tones just a bit. Now that's looking good, but I want to take this even further. I want to do a little bit of relighting. I like this, but she's kind of blended in. Her face is blended into the rest of it, and I want to make sure that she stands out and she is popping. So what I'm going to do is add another color correction. So what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to add a secondary color correction here, secondary color grade, or a shape mask. So I'm going to hit this button here to add a shape mask. And what that's going to do is going to give me this circle. This inner circle is basically what will be affected in your grade, and this outer circle is the feather. So the mane and then the feather. This can be changed from a circle to kind of an oval shape, I guess, like here, oval shape, to a square. So you can get a rough kind of shape out of here. I just want to pull a face shape off of her. So let's kind of get the shape of her face here. Do want to open it up just a bit, maybe turn it. Not so much there. Alright, so this is really rough. I don't want to spend too much time on this tutorial and kill you guys. So I'm going to bring that to about there. I think that's pretty good. I'm going to open it up just a bit. Now, you have your inside mask. You can manipulate the inside of the mask. As you'll see right here, I'm manipulating the inside. Or you can do the outside, which is that. And now notice how this feather works as well. If I'm going to manipulate the outside, I can feather it by just increasing this circle. So let's undo. So what I'm going to do is I am going to brighten her face a bit and darken the things around her. So first thing, I'm going to bring up the midtones just a bit. Oh, I'm working on the outside. Make sure you're on inside. Bring up the midtones just a bit. I'll probably bring down her blacks just to keep some contrast. Not too much, just one. Bring down her shadows. Up on the midtones, up on the highlights. And that looks good to me. I'm going to increase this feather. I'm going to go to the outside. And I am going to bring it down. Bring the shadows down, bring the midtones down. That is looking good to me. Maybe increase that feather just a bit. Alright, inside, I just want to go up just a bit on there. And also works with color. So if I feel like her face is a little oranges, a little more orange than I want it to be, I can increase the midtones, add some blue. Just a little bit of blue. 4%, a little bit of white. Actually, I'm going to come down. just a little bit. Okay, looking good. Our before, after so far. Before and after. Okay, now we can even take this a little bit further. So now here, I like the way this is looking. We got our orange and blue contrasting a bit. I actually would like to contrast it, add just a little bit more blue, a little bit more orange. And now with my next color grade, I'm going to increase my saturation just a bit. Let's make it a little bit more saturated. That all looks great to me. Coming back out. Now, this looks good. This looks good. Another thing I did with this grade, I wanted to pull a little bit more out of her eyes. I wanted to draw a little more attention to her eyes. So I made a small small oval here. Kind of tightened it around her eyes. Add a little bit of a feather. And I'll add a little bit of contrast to her eyes. And then I want to give it just a little bit of pop. Eyes pop just a little bit more. And that all looks great to me. Now, one thing to remember with these secondary masks is right now we have her here, but she moves. So you'll actually have to animate these masks to move with her, which we'll cover in another tutorial. So now I'm pretty happy with what we have here. Let's just get that off of there. So I'm pretty happy with what we have here. If I do a before and an after, before, after, looks really good. What I like to do finally is just add a little bit more of some drama to it. I will create a vignette. So I know that she is where I want everyone to be looking. A vignette is good to draw your eyes to where you want everyone to look. So all this stuff in the background really doesn't mean anything. Harley is who we came to see. So I'll make this vignette and I'll get a good size feather on it. Then I am going to come down. Now you could come down, we're going to work the outside actually. You can come down in a global sense like that, which is, you know, pretty good for most things. But I like to do it just piece by piece so I can see exactly what's coming down and where. So I'm liking this. So we want to make our vignette subtle. We don't want it too noticeable, because when you get those harsh noticeable vignettes, I really hate that. Like, that's just too much. So we want to make a subtle vignette so it just draws our eyes to Harley here. That is looking really good. I like it. I feel good about it. Let's see. Before, after, before, after. We've drawn a lot of attention to her face, and this shot just feels a lot more interesting now and a lot more cinematic. And if you like that bleached bypass kind of look, you can just add one more color correction and just take down the saturation a bit. If you're into that, you can even crush your blacks a little bit more. And I know I crush my blacks a lot, but I don't crush it to the point where they're just ridiculously crushed like that. It's all style. So you'll get your style, you get that together, whatever you like. No, that's if you like that. I actually wanted this to have a little bit more color, so I'm going to come up just a bit. Alright, I think that looks good. I probably would tighten up this just a bit. I don't want too much spill on it. Just want to cover her face. So, Harley before, after, before, after. I think we did pretty good. Now one thing, we've got to go ahead and cheat and sell out, give it that movie look, and add this widescreen matte. This is a widescreen matte that I picked up from Alex4D. If you type that into Google, Alex4D, he has a ton of free effects and filters and all kind of things that you can use. And this is actually just the text titles object that you just drop onto it. And then you can choose, and this is why I like this better than the letterbox in Final Cut Pro, you can choose your aspect ratio. So for this one, I'm using a 2.35 crop. You can do whatever you need to do, the 16:9 if you needed that, whatever. But you can just get all kind of crazy with it. You can be like super widescreen if you wanted to. That's just a little too much for me though. Get that anamorphic look right there, the 35mm anamorphic. I like it. It looks good. Let's see how we did as far as our other ones. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this off by pressing V. Turn this one on. Ooh, did pretty good. I think my second one was actually a little bit better. Let's do a split screen comparison. I think I do like this one a little bit better. So you get a little bit better every time you do more stuff. Thank you for watching this tutorial. Please like, comment, subscribe. Reach out to me on Twitter at champ5mic. Let me know if you want any more tutorials. Let me know if you hated this tutorial and you think I suck. I don't really care. Just let me know. Oh, and one last thing that I forgot to add. I did add a unsharp mask, which also comes from Alex4D. You guessed it. You can use the sharpen filter inside Final Cut Pro, but I really like the unsharp mask that comes from Alex4D. So just type unsharp here. We get that. And you can really tell the difference if I turn it off. You can see it gets a little soft and blurry. I turn it on. I get some sharp edges. Looks really good. Alright, till next time, take it easy. Salute. Peace. I'm out of here. Adios. Bye.